Gray?
Here.
Councilwoman Green?
Here.
Councilwoman Gray? Here. Councilman Eldridge?
Here.
Councilman Petty? Vice Mayor Hackett?
Here.
City Attorney Griffin?
Here.
All right, the first thing we do is the opening prayer and pledge, and Vice Mayor Hackett has generously said that he would do it again for us.
Let's pray. Our most kind, gracious, and loving Heavenly Father, Lord, we're just thankful for this day, and we're thankful for all the blessings that you bestow upon us. Lord, we're thankful for this opportunity to come in and today and meet, and Lord, we're just thankful for the town of Carthage. And then, Lord, I just pray that the decisions that we make here tonight are pleasing to you, and it's what's best for each citizen of the town of Carthage, Lord. Lord, be with those that have prayer concerns, be with those that have lost loved ones. I just pray that you'll comfort them, their families. Lord, most of all, we're just thankful for your son today, for it's in his name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Let's do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Play ball. All right, first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for January 9th and January 27th, our special call meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Are we approving both at the same time, or you want to separate? Did you say approve both, or
I mean, yeah.
you want to do both? Okay.
Approve both.
Second is still the same on both? All right. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Citizens' concerns. I'm gonna do that in a second. I want to get the citizens, there's no citizens concerned though. Thought we was gonna have a big crowd. Consideration of non-emergency invoices over 10,000. Scott, you wanna go over that, please?
And you have that document in front of you. There are no, other than the routine health insurance, retirement, utilities, there's nothing else that was over 10,000 during that period.
Motion to approve.
What are we approving? There's nothing to approve.
Oh.
I was just gonna, yeah, because it's already been.
Oh, good.
Huh? Yeah, we'll go ahead and motion it, but there's nothing to approve individually. Doesn't need.
Okay, gotcha.
Do I hear a second?
Yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Since concern is over, mayor's report. Basically, we've got a lot going on down at the parks. We're turning, like I said, into a baseball field. We're moving forward. The water line on Hull should be completed by the end of, what, Derek, next week? Because it's getting sanitized right now. We're just gonna put the surfaces in and we're done.
I'd say 2 weeks would be done.
2 weeks, okay. And y'all know I called y'all about the water intake, not the lighthouse. We went in and took the stairs down far enough and put barricades around it until y'all decide what y'all want to do. But do you have pictures in your packets there of all the cracks and stuff and how dangerous it is?
And the letters.
And the letter from the insurance company?
Why did they just decide right now, since it's been there for many, many years?
Why?
Okay, yeah, that's why. I mean, it's been there for a long time. Why are they now?
Because we didn't know who owned it. So the Corps, the way our map sloped, it showed the Corps owned it. So we weren't gonna insure it, we weren't gonna mess with it, the Corps owned it. But when we did survey, we own that and half a boat ramp. That we didn't know.
Is that what the survey for Carmen was in here for?
Yeah, that's for it. We had to do that in order to get the, see who owned it. And it belongs to us. Well, it's on our property, so we couldn't lease it to somebody because it's still on our property. Unless they wanted to put the money into it to fix it up completely, which I don't see anybody spending millions of dollars to fix that up.
They don't use it anymore, do they?
No.
So I always thought it was a lighthouse for some reason, but it's not a lighthouse.
No, sir. It's where the water, it's our first intake by the river where the water came in and went to the water plant. It's just a deep, deep, deep hole.
So if we tear the building down, or the structure, we're gonna fill in the hole.
That's what's gonna go in the hole, yeah. The building will go in the hole itself, and we'll still need more rock.
And then we're gonna put up some kind of monument or something?
The chamber said they would put up a, like a, one of them boards, tell us what was there and what it is.
How are they gonna tear this down?
That's up to y'all. It's y'all make the decision whether you want to throw down, left up, fence put around it, you want to paint it, that's y'all's choice. I just did what I had to do to keep the insurance, so,
So you installed a perimeter fence?
no.
No.
I tore the stairs down and put up the barricades, because no one can get up there now because the
Yeah.
stairs are tore down.
Yeah, okay. And PSP said that was okay.
For temporary. He said even the fence doesn't make it permanent, but he said it's better than nothing. He said, how many kids you know climb fences? I said, every one of them.
Yeah.
Hate to see it go. But
But that's just, that's one of the main things that we have now, that,
So we own that?
we also did get, we have a new engineering firm now out of Cookville. They're willing to accept our attorney's contracts and not say they won't sign them. So now we can move forward with every project that we have. And thank you for getting them to us.
engineering firm for what? To do what?
Water lines. Our water line engineer, our water, what's it called? Water management works or something like that? Steve Jones? We had a contract, you know, they're the engineers that did all the whole system. And when it got time to install it, they had a contract, but they wanted to be left out, not liable for anything, zero.
And for the city to affirmatively indemnify, defend, pay their attorney's fees, pay for their liability.
Yeah, all the above.
Right.
And we said, well, we can't do that. And they said, we've been doing this for years. I said, that's probably because no one's ever sent the contract to the attorney to look at it. I mean, we're on the hook for a water line on Main Street. If something happens, that's us, not the contractor. It's on the city because that's how the contract is.
So we requested that they take that provision out of the contract and they refused. So
We found one that would,
that would accept our recommendations and the requirements of our insurance.
because if we decide that our insurance company is gonna drop us,
There's a chance that that could happen, yeah.
But they definitely wasn't going to cover anything.
yeah, if they
with
had,
that.
they would have covered that. We could,
They wouldn't
one
defend us.
mistake and we'd be bankrupt. I mean, and that's all I have for the mayor's report. Scott, you want to go ahead?
So let's back up to our structure here on Buck Ferry. The recommendations by entity partners are a fence, removal of stairs, sealing off, something. It doesn't say anything about tearing it down.
What's the last one say?
Oh, if the above recommendations are not viable options, the town could consider raising the structure.
Yes.
But now you've done 1, 2, and 3, right?
No, there's no fence. There's just barricades with caution tape. Now, if you want to get to see what was a fence cost to go around it, we can do that. We can get- Yeah, I know. I mean, if someone climbs the fence and gets up there and gets hurt, we're still just as liable. That's what he said. He said, but I have to give you these options. So I'll do whatever y'all want to do. My recommendation is tear it down and not have the liability.
If you put no trespassing on the fence, are we still, is the town still liable for it? What's that fence right
That's
there?
a complicated question, but.
I mean, that's what I was just asking you. to
If
do
you
the
put a
term.
warning up at no trespassing, there's you're more protected, but there's something in the law that's called the attractive nuisance doctrine. Something, looks like something that would be fun for a kid to go climb on. And if some
kid does it and gets hurt, they could sue the city and say the city should have known that we would have climbed this fence and you should have built a bigger fence or taken more precautions to make sure that we didn't do this and get hurt, so.
That fence you're talking about is dividing the two properties, it's up in the middle more where the old road used to be.
Well, and liability means that you've done something to cause damage to either person or property, right? So,
Right, so if somebody gets hurt on it, they can sue the city. And the point is, Public Entity Partners, our liability insurance carrier, says this is something that could potentially create liability for the city or get the city sued, whether or not the city is ultimately held liable in court, which means if the city gets sued, Public Entity Partners, our insurance carrier, has to pay to defend it. So they want this resolved one way or another.
Either fixed or tore down, right?
Fixed to where it makes it unlikely that anybody would get hurt on it or just torn down, yeah.
And I'm not sure how you would disguise it so people wouldn't be intrigued to go up there and look at it, because it does look like a lighthouse.
But if it doesn't have any steps going up, you can't get up to it, can you?
That's why they wanted, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I took the steps down as far as I did. We did that automatically. I mean, but I mean, as a kid, I was a kid once, I climbed trees and climbed ladders and,
I hate to see it go, but
I do too.
I understand
It's been there
the
all my
liability.
life that I can remember.
It doesn't do anything.
no, it's just a big,
Just a landmark.
yeah, that's what it is. It's not, no functioning purpose.
You can't tear the steps down from the top on down?
Look at the pictures on that and look at the top of the round circle part on the top. Those are cracked all the way through from the inside to the out. I'm afraid to get up there with the jackhammer that close, then we'll start chipping off pieces of the building. Would you agree with that, Roger? It's pretty unsafe? Yes.
Yes. Anybody bid on what it's gonna cost to tear it down?
I have not done anything until y'all, we did the stairs ourselves, I haven't done anything until y'all tell me what y'all wanna do. I don't wanna spend $5,000 on a fence when you say tear it down. I don't wanna tear it down when you say spend $5,000 on a fence. And that's just a guess, that's not what it costs, I mean, I'm just saying.
I think it needs to be tabled and just think about it a little bit more.
This isn't on the agenda. This is just.
Yeah,
a
it's on the
report.
agenda.
Oh, it is, okay.
It's, number one under new business.
I knew it.
I was just bringing it up in
Gotcha.
my report. Good.
Would you tear it down with yourself, with city, or would you bid that out, or?
It depends. We may have to rent a one-time rental of a big track hoe to get to the top of it, because if we're not gonna do it, it's gonna cause us anybody possibly injure some of our employees. And we don't have the equipment to reach it, so we'd have to rent a big track hoe if we get far enough away to put it down.
What about, can you get us a cost on
Yeah, get you
demolition?
what you want, yeah. You want complete
Any other-
demolition, or you want rental, or what do you want? You tell me what you want, and I'll get it by next meeting. Well, what I can do is I can get it and email it all out to y'all.
Okay.
That way you'll have it before next meeting.
To me, demolition means take it
Take it
down.
What, does anybody know what year that they actually put that up?
The pump station?
Yeah, to make it look like that.
Probably when they first put city water in.
In the forties.
What?
Probably when they first put city water, because that was the intake to get it there.
Wouldn't be
I
like
believe
a-
it. It was before I was
What is
born.
it, landmark thing that we could get help with fixing it and making it pretty again, so.
What are you gonna, like a historical grant or something?
Yeah, that's what I was just, didn't know when it was built.
You can advertise bids on both demolition and fencing, and then
Yeah, we do the whole thing.
if you decided not to do one or the other, then you can just reject all bids.
Yeah, I know. I just,
So that way you get a
I
price
just need
for
to know what they
everybody.
want me to do.
Right,
Okay.
Well, can you get a bid on a fence? Can you get a bid on demolition?
right.
Yeah.
Do we need to make a motion?
Do you guys wanna wait until it's?
Yeah, it's the first item on the.
Oh, we're
new
just
business.
kinda
I just-
jumping around.
I was
I
just letting
see.
y'all know that the mayor's report that I did take the stairs down.
Oh, I
So we are
understand. Okay.
kinda in semi sort of compliance already, but not completely.
How long do we have to get in compliance?
I don't know if we
Did
put
they say?
time
I
limit on
didn't
there, but I
see it
think
in here.
probably till they come back again.
That said within 60 days, you're supposed
60
to
days.
return this.
Usually
Yeah.
it's 60
Usually a couple
days.
months.
Okay.
So put that on the March agenda too.
Yeah, it's definitely gotta be on the March agenda, cause we,
Okay.
okay, we good with that for right now? All righty, let's go to the committee reports. Scott, you want to go first? What time makes it up?
As part of my report, I'm gonna recommend if we keep the water intake building standing for any period of time, I'm gonna go ahead and add it to the insurance as a identified building. And I don't know what that'll cost, but that would be my recommendation.
Say that again. If we keep the building,
If we keep that building, it's not identified as a specific structure. And so I'm gonna get it identified as a specific structure. Pay insurance on it until such time as we make a decision what we wanna do.
absolutely.
You're talking about this one that just got wrecked. What,
Water tower.
oh, the water, okay.
Old water intake.
Okay.
AKA the lighthouse.
I don't know if you really wanna know how all that came to be, but
Sure.
suffice to say, it's never been a lighthouse. And whenever we looked at property that Miss Roja and her husband owned for town hall, we thought we owned that property back there, so we went to the registrar's office, property assessor, and the property assessor line says, "Well, I don't own that." I said, "Well," that says, "We've been mowing it for 38 years. It's been on our property." So I'm pretty sure that's the building that one of my schoolmates, when I was in the 7th grade, fell down to the bottom of and was out of school for a long time, so I knew a little bit about it. Yeah, well, I know. But in any case, so that's where we began with the Corps of Engineers to say, okay, if they say you own this, we're not gonna pay insurance on it or maintain that property if you guys own it. And they said, whoa, no, we don't want it. I said, fine, but if you own it, we don't, citizens shouldn't have to pay for that. So we met with them, our higher ups, and we said we'll get it surveyed. So 2 months later, we finally got the results of the survey. And the survey says we own it. So we went ahead and took the steps to get it registered with the registrar and with the property assessor, and asked Terry to make sure the property lines on all of that matches what the survey says, and we paid $17 to get registered with the registrar. So it's definitely ours, there's no doubt about it. And there's a big copy of the survey back there if you need to look at it. I think you all have copies of it. So we own it. So immediately contacted the insurance company and said, okay, is this building listed on our insurance? And they looked and they said, no. I said, but if it's an abandoned building, by default, PEP will cover. And I said, yeah, I don't think you understand what we're talking about. So I sent them pictures. And immediately, just so happened that their risk assessment person was close and came by, looked at it, met with us, and said, "You definitely got an issue." And I said, "Well, can you put that in writing for us? Because I know there is sentimental value to the lighthouse." And we contacted a couple of folks to see if they were interested in the property, because I knew they expressed interest in the past. No interest. So therefore, he gave us the letter, and the mayor took action immediate to get the steps down, which was the best we could do at the time. Guys put a boundary around it. Personally, I'm not comfortable not going ahead and naming it on our insurance so that there's no doubt that it's covered. And if it takes us 2 months to make a decision, or 20 years to keep it, we will be covered. I, like you, would love to see the stairs taken down all the way from the very top. If I'm enterprising enough, I'll put a grappling hook through that window and I'll climb that bad boy. And it's just but it is sentimental value, and there may be some reason if we're going to keep it, and we should do something, insure it, do something with it, and make it safe and whatever. But in any case, till you guys decide what you want to do, I do recommend we add it as a named building on our insurance, if they will insure it.
Have they given you any idea what it would cost to add that building for liability purposes?
No, but it won't be cheap, as you know.
But
Yeah, but in, liability versus physical damage, typically liability is the cheaper of the two.
Yeah, I'm not certain, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's not 500 a quarter, something like that, but maybe more than that, I don't know. So if I've got mayor and y'all's approval, I'll know tomorrow if they'll insure it. I don't know if they will.
So right now, as it stands, it's not insured at all.
I think that's gray right now. Okay, because the underwriter said once they got the pictures, they immediately contacted the guy that was in the area, and so we got the letter.
Same day.
Yeah. It's not like it would be a building sitting next door or something. If you've ever been out there and looked at it. The rail is just one top rail. I'm enterprising enough. I'm a teenager and I want to get up there. I'll get up there. But we've done what we can do right now. But it's built like a pillbox. And it's solid. Personally, I'd have professionals take it down, but that's up to y'all. But having said that, we'll move on to the rest of the finance report. So as far as money, the town continues to be very solid. General fund cash, 4.9 million. Street aid, 260,000. Just so you know, street aid, that goes up 7,000 to 8,000 a month, and we're getting about $820 a month interest on it. Water sewer funds, 2.5 million, and we're doing good there. Debt goes down by roughly $10,121 a month. The interest is very low. The admin fee on that's very low. So annualized regulatory profit, which basically says what's profit through 7 months. Divide 12 by 7, you get a factor, multiply that times the current profit, and that's, if you were to say this is 12 months, that's what that would look like. But if you're paying attention to last month, you'll notice that it's about $100,000 less than it was last month, and it will continue to decrease the rest of the year. Just want to make sure everybody understands what we did in the special called meeting versus the prior meeting. You approved a resolution that we go ahead with the Corps of Engineers project. So that's done as a sewer plant, clean water plant, if you will. And then last month, or the special called meeting said, okay, we approve that you can go ahead and sign the contract for a state revolving fund loan for clean water, which is the inflow and infiltration project, sewer lines. We did get that submitted and haven't heard anything since last week, so that hopefully February the 11th, that'll go before that next board, and several months down the road, we'll be able to move forward with that. We're solvent in general fund, solvent in water sewer fund. Debt ratio decreased a little bit from last month, but we're still in good shape. Big items number 3, so you can begin to plan, think, make your notes. Thursday, March 6th will be our first council budget workshop. We'll have a first draft for you, for the new council members, so you know how that process works, and for the citizens to know. This week, sent out a budget workshop to each department head. Department heads will come up with what they think for the 25-26. We'll assemble all that together into a draft. Once that draft's together, then the mayor, the department heads, and I will meet. The mayor makes his thoughts and influence upon the budget. And once that happens, we come up with the first draft, and that'll be presented to you on March 6th at 5 o'clock. So if you have specific items that you're looking for, any questions or whatever, if you can get them to me, I'll do what I can to have it for you. Then the second, after you've given all your thoughts and process on the first draft, the next council date is April 3rd. We'll have the second draft. Also at that time, we'll have a draft updated purchasing policy with the new law, which increases the spending limits if you want to do it. If you don't want to do it, we keep the same purchasing policy we have. But in any case, I'm going to present it for your discussion. Then Thursday, May 1st will be the first reading. That's the first, quote, legal process of reading the budget ordinance. And hopefully by that time we've worked out everything, but hasn't yet. Normally we spend most of our time speaking about less than 1% of the total budget, and that's the charitable contributions. So if you look at that and have your thoughts on that early on, that'd be good. But we also try to update our personnel policy annually for different things that come up. We'll present that Thursday, May 1st. On Thursday, June 5th, will be the second reading. The second reading is approved. The next day, Lord willing, we'll submit it to the comptroller for their review. Also, before the June 5th, there will be a public meeting on that date, I guess, for the public to respond to the budget. So that's your constituents.
We'll also need to do that if they accept the purchasing policy too, or
Yes.
and personnel, any of those. So.
You have copies of all that in your big book. Purchasing policies first, then the personnel policy. So if there's anything you want to change, by all means, let's bring it up. Hiring policy, we've added a bunch to that.
The hiring policy? Like you said?
Yep.
I just didn't hear what the first word you said.
Yes, hiring policy. So trying to take out, address any concerns that folks have. Questions of me?
What is our spending limit now?
At the present time, our purchasing policy says anything below $2,000 can be purchased in accordance with the budget by the department heads. Anything between $2,000 and $10,000 it's not required. This is a Carthage policy. Anything from $2,000 to $10,000, we require or ask that they try to find 3 bidders, not bidders, but 3 sources.
3 quotes.
3 quotes, and we have a form for that, for between $2,000 and $10,000. And then I have to sign it to make sure it's in accordance with the budget amounts that we have. The mayor has to approve it, the department head approves it. And so we can make that purchase between 2 and 10. If it doesn't come to the council, then anything that's 10,000 or more, purchasing policy technically comes before the council. Our present approach means that sometimes something that costs $10,000 or more may come before the council at least 4 times. That's what I tried to highlight to you. We had those. The new law will allow us to go up to $25,000 without a purchasing agent, which I can't envision the town ever having a full-time purchasing agent. But we could go from 10,000, which is TCA, up to 25,000. That's new law, just came into effect in June of 2024. Because 10,000, you can't get much of anything done
Doesn't
with
pay our bills.
$10,000. Unfortunately, it's a lot of money, but when you get to this stuff, it's drop in the bucket. But
I was thinking for some reason that we had said that bills that was over 10,000 to go ahead and pay them. Did we do that?
The
you might have, but
regular
I-
reoccurring bills that we
Yeah.
get every month.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I decided to put it in front of you. And if you want, I can put every check.
No,
but-
I was just thinking that we did that. one time.
Most cities authorize 25,000. It's pretty standard.
Basically, if I needed to buy something for $14,000, I wouldn't have to wait a full month to come to you. Or if something broke and we needed, I can still do an emergency purchase, but this just opens it up to, like, if we run out of pipe for a water line, we can go out and get pipe instead of waiting for y'all to say, hey, can we buy $15,000 worth of pipe?
And we'll go further into that with the purchasing policy, but understand,
Okay.
in prior administration, it was set at $2,000. Council had to approve $2,000 or more. Well, we couldn't do nothing. We had to pay bills late. And thankfully, prior administration worked, we got that worked through to get it to 2 to 10, reasonable accommodation. So.
And he's talking about like contractor bills, guys, like we would get invoices from people that needed to be paid and we couldn't pay it till it come to council. Different things like that.
It boils down to the level of trust that you have for us. That's what it boils down to, how much control you want to have with it, which is fine for me. It just asks, don't go back down $2,000. I like to pay everybody on time. But we'll do what the council chooses to do. Questions?
How much money are we allotted for all these new hires?
We have a budget ordinance that you should have, and
That's what I
I would say
was
it's
reading.
38,000.
Hours.
It's not a lot of new hires, just the one. It's one of these budget ordinances. You got them there?
Is that yearly?
Well, that's 34,528 would account for the fact that the earliest we'd ever get anybody hired would be maybe March. So it's through the rest of this fiscal year. It's just that amount up there. So we'd amend the wages, salaries and wages for this amount just through June 30th. But I'll incorporate a new position into the new budget if that gets approved.
That's include the 2 part-timers too?
Yes. Just through the rest of the year?
Yes, through June, I know.
Okay.
That's what I make sure
Just through
that,
June.
I just wanted to know that it wasn't just one person.
It'd be with salary and benefits on an annual basis for a full-time employee, you just need to figure 70,000. That's salary and benefits.
A year. 70,000 a year.
That's not what
Salary
they're
and
getting paid.
benefits.
That's with
That's the
workman's,
insurance.
workman's comp,
Insurance.
insurance.
You gotta take your salary. Well, first of all, you know, health insurance is gonna be $9,375 a month.
So they pay
Or a
nothing.
year, I should say,
Yeah.
per employee.
Yeah, we have insurance on them, but they pay nothing. They
That's
pay it
correct.
all.
That's right, for the employee only. If they want something for their dependents, they have to pay for it. And you get it through the state plan. And then you have to consider that we have a 7.26% for retirement that we have to put into the general fund. That's not to the employees' part, that's just to the general retirement fund. Yeah, and then each employee has to put in 5% mandatory in the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System. That comes out of their wages. And then the other benefit that we have is the life insurance for $20,000 a year. their biggest payoff is $20,000. So if they die, the heirs get $20,000. It costs us about between $8 and $10 a month, I think it is, per employee. It's not much. So if you add those together, that's kind of what you come up with. About 70,000.
And this is through June.
That's through June. But approve this says we're gonna hire someone, and they'll be an employee on June 30th, but if you don't anticipate continuing on the relationship, that means you're terminating them on July 1st. If we don't budget out for the next year. And I don't really think we as an organization or town want to do people that way. We're not gonna approve it for the following year and going on. Maybe we shouldn't approve it at all, because people have lives, make decisions based on those kind of decisions.
So these raises, these grade raises comes out of this too? No, this is just for new hires? What about?
That's just for the new hire and the water sewer line installation. That's all that is.
Okay. What does this come out of?
This is for Keely Cowan, who we hired in August, a new cashier. She's done exceptionally well. I'd like to give her that raise is 2.5%. I'd like to give her that raise, hang on to her, and around 6 months. That's-
She does great.
I just want to know where that comes, what money that comes
She
out
got
of.
thrown
Compliments on her.
She got thrown into the
Former,
learning system or training.
34,000, that's water sewer fund.
Got somebody you want to
Comes
keep,
out of
it's good to
ours.
reward them financially.
Yes,
Great.
Did 2.5% ain't nothing. It's like
2.5% winds up
Better
being
than
about
nothing.
it's less than $1 an hour.
It's like 50-something cents, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we did the steps and had the salary study, so that we could have a systemic manner in which to recognize merit. And if somebody's not doing the job, they don't have to be recommended for a raise. If they've been here for 20 years, the longevity bonus that we give in November is designed for that loyalty, but merit raises are based on performance. And that'll be part of the discussion in the budget process.
Thank you.
And it's a lot, I understand, it's a lot for your
And your,
process.
and the pay scale study is all in your guys' binders as well, if you want to.
Yes, yeah, and you have a schedule for what every person makes in there as well, per hour and annually, and their benefits. Should be able to see that. That's all open record. But the whole objective of that salary study and doing was, number one, to bring our employees to a place where they were to be paid appropriately and we could keep them. And two, was to give us a way to have some means to say this person needs a merit raise or this person doesn't. And otherwise it was just kind of reach up and grab a hold of the figure, and whoever took the initiative as a department head could get raises for their people, and those who didn't, they didn't get raises. So, unless the council did a cost of living raise. So that's why we did that. We'd go over that in more detail with the personnel policy. But it's all in those books.
While we're talking about like new hires, I had somebody ask me if we're gonna be self-sufficient. What was the pros and cons?
If we were self-sufficient,
I like doing our roads, our water lines, all of that.
you know, I'll just take.
I mean-
Yep.
Is that a question for you or an agenda item for next month? I'm just,
Well, I'm standing here, self-sufficient. Do we have the tax revenue to take care of ourselves in the general fund as far as the streets and so forth? Yes, plus we have $4.5 million of reserves. Unless something happens to the sales tax law, I would see the town of Carthage being able to fund itself. Now, if you overspend, that's one thing, but if you got reserves, you can't just take the tax base for 1 year. You have to look at what is the reserves and then what's the present need. So in the general fund, I think we're very solid. We got streets would be the biggest thing in the general fund. The guys have the equipment that they need to get the job done for the most part, and so that we've tried to work hard on that, so don't see a whole lot of that coming down the pike. So general fund, I think we're very solvent. My recommendation would always be to keep at least $1.5 million of a rainy day fund. In water sewer fund, money will get tight just as soon as we get cranking on these water lines. As soon as we spend some more money off the erosion. We just put in a bid invitation today for 2 vertical turbine raw water intake pumps. All I can tell you is it takes water out of the river, okay? For about, we did a budget amendment for about $130,000. So we'll fund that. The goal will be to always be self-sufficient, because there's no other source if you don't plan based on the tax revenue and utility rates. And we've already done the statement to TDEC to say, hey, in the next 5 years, we're going to raise water sewer rates 3 to 5%, so we can go ahead and get started on these sewer lines.
Okay.
There's more to be said, Gail, but that's enough for right now.
Yeah, thank you.
I can tell people ready to move on.
I appreciate it, Scott, thank you.
Derek, you wanna go?
I don't have a whole lot to report, other than during the cold weather snap, we had quite a few calls, influx in calls. Not necessarily on our part, but homeowners calling, having us to come out and cut water off because water pipes were froze and busted under their house or whatever. So cold weather was a little busier than normal. Hoyle Avenue, as he said a while ago, about 2 more weeks we should be ready to put that in service and be done with that. Other than that, you got any questions?
When you finish Hull, where are you starting?
Smotherman Avenue.
You start out there.
Then we'll move to Carmack, and then we'll move to Hillcrest, and then Walton.
You gonna do every street, starting from Smotherman all the way over, or just what needs it the worst?
That's just what we've identified as the worst, and what we have money set aside and approved to do.
Okay, Smotherman, Carmack,
Hillcrest,
and Walton.
Walton.
That's the order of the calls you receive.
Okay.
All of these streets that we're replacing does follow the I&I plan, the I&I study that we had done.
Listed them as a
Basically,
priority.
worst to first.
Yeah.
We're doing the worst ones identified.
We tried to match the water with the sewer and just take care of one street, come into the water and the sewer, and then you come back in and pave that street, and it's completely done.
Derek, tell me one more time. Whole Smotherman, give me that.
Hillcrest Drive. And
Whole Smotherman Snacks.
Carmack.
Carmack.
Hull, Smotherman, Carmack,
Carmack, okay.
Hillcrest Drive,
All right,
Walton Avenue.
all right.
And it's about 7,000 foot of line, so everybody knows. Any other questions at this time?
Thank you.
Is it you, Rod, or is it Les?
Street department doesn't have anything new unless y'all have any questions for me.
You wanna talk about the new benches and the fence and stuff down there that you just got?
Well, we did get new benches for the T-ball field, got new fences for the outfield, trying to make it look good. New fences around the whole park and everything really does make it look good in the new dugouts. So it's looking up.
That's great.
You're doing a good job.
Anybody have anything else?
Yeah. I don't have a lot, but it'll kind of reflect a few things I've already talked about. I got a paper in your report there, but we had, over 17.5 million gallons wastewater come in January. And we contributed over 7.9 million of that to the I&I. That's what we're talking about, fixing these sewer runs, you know. Half of our expenses almost go to that. The electric and chemicals was a little over $5,900, and we contributed over $2,650 of that to the I&I that we're just treating, that we shouldn't be treating. It shouldn't be coming in. We didn't have any violations, which is good, but we did have a mechanical failure, and this kind of goes under the purchasing policy. We have two samplers down there. We have one influent catching the raw water coming in. We got an effluent catching the water we put into the river. Our permit requires these samples to be able to sample on a flow proportional. They got to be kept at certain temperatures. And if we don't do that right off the bat, then they consider our tests are no good that day because we didn't get our samples corrected. Well, our effluent sampler went out, several years back. We got a couple of old samplers from the city of Lebanon, and we used the parts to keep them going for 6 years, but it finally, about week 4 last, bit the dust. Well, this is one of these things, if you're not getting your samples right, you can get in violation quick, especially if the state comes in to inspect. The first thing they do is they go to that sampler, they want to see it's on flow proportional. They don't want you where it's getting a sample every 15 minutes, like on time. They want it where when the flow peaks, you're getting more sample. When the flow goes down, you get less. They're going to check the temperature on that. You got to have a thermometer inside the cooling unit. You got to be within like 4 and 8 degrees Celsius. So all of a sudden, we were needing a sampler and needing it pretty quick, you know. I got 3 quotes. Luckily for us, the bottle quote was $9,933. We come in under the $10,000. But I went through the purchasing procedure, did the paperwork, got the quotes, turned it in to Scott and the mayor. They got their signatures. I was able to order the sample. It come in today. We got it installed. We're back in compliance. But, you know, that's the procedure. If it'd been over 10,000 and they said, well, we can't do it unless we go to the council, I'd been sitting down there going, yeah, but I'm violating permit. So you do have a policy there that needs, you got checks and balances, but there's times you need to be able to do what you got to do to keep within permit. Other than that, February the 19th, this month on the 19th, I have signed myself and Stephen Wills up to go to Murfreesboro. It's a free class. It's a pre-treatment class on wastewater. And Stephen's doing great. Me and Ricky's training him for the future. He's done got all his certifications, but it don't cost anything. It'll give us some continuing education credits. So we're going to do that. And TAUD has asked us, Stephen and I can come to Knoxville on March the 6th. They're having a utility technology conference, pretty big thing. And we have installed, and it's new to us, a way to treat our biosolids at the plant. And we've done it all in-house. And we've done it way, way, way a lot cheaper than most people's doing. So they're wanting us to kind of come up, if we can, and present it at this conference for other small towns to look at what we did and how we come in working in budget. We didn't have to get a grant. We don't have a capital. We're doing it within budget. So if it's all right with everybody, I'd like for us to go up our, we'll go up that morning, do the presentation. We'll come back that evening and we'll be here for the budget meeting and council meeting that night. So that's all I got, unless y'all got some questions.
Is that something we'll pay for if they do?
Yeah, I mean, we have training money.
Okay.
Yeah.
They pay for
And
the,
lodging and all that.
well, if they're not staying, they won't, but they can. They have the option, and we pay for their food.
The only thing I think that we'll use is the truck going up, and we may stop and meet a meal.
Oh, I
Other than that, you
There's
know.
no may about that.
But hey, we appreciate y'all do, because if y'all don't give us the opportunity to do it, we can't do it. So thank you.
Thanks.
Brett?
Hey guys, so far everything's going pretty good since last time I talked to you. Did have one officer put in his resignation. He's a really good guy. Gonna miss him. He did a really good job for us. We're taking applications now, so hopefully come March we'll have a recommendation to hire. So, but everything else is going pretty good. Status quo as usual. Just keep on trucking along. So, if y'all have any questions, be glad to answer them. Also, the Camera systems and everything down at the pool area and also the basketball courts are up and running. They're doing a really good job, and so hopefully that'll help prevent any issues that we have at either one of those locations, so.
Maybe we can find out who's pulling all the flowers up around the flagpole.
Very possible.
Happens every year.
Very possible, so. But if y'all have any questions, like I said.
Britt, what's the status of the
Traffic light?
the magnet, I guess?
You talking about Third and Main, sir?
Yes.
So I think y'all approved that. We sent that back to them. Stansel is waiting to get up here and install it. So probably in the next, I'm gonna say 2 months, give or take. They have to order the parts and all that stuff, and then they'll come up here and do it. So hopefully in the next couple months they should be up there. But everything's on pace to be done. So that sound good?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
And Joe High is not here, he's got a family emergency, so he'll be back next. I don't know exactly what the emergency is, but he's got a family emergency. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business. The first item is ordinance number BA 2025-0109-2. That's adding the full-time position to the water, and two part-time positions to the water and sewer fund. This will be the second reading of that.
I make a motion to do it.
Motion to approve. Do I have a
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Go ahead and roll call, please.
Councilman Gray,
Yes.
Councilwoman Green,
Yes.
Councilwoman Gray,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Petty, he's not here, Vice Mayor Hackett.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is the parking ordinance to include the $50 fine. It's P 2025-0109-2. Second reading.
Make a motion to approve.
And this is a fine for where?
Second.
It's for parking. Our fine was, what was it, $1?
It was like $2 or $3.
It was like $2 if you paid it within 7 days, and
And
then
they had to pay the
up to
clerk,
50.
and it's just,
Right, and it's not just that change, it's the same thing we went over last meeting, just basically modernizing our parking regulations, taking out things like references to railroad crossings and
Horse.
meters.
horses
yeah.
being tied up. And
We had a meeting at my office with Britt and a couple people came down, and we talked about what was relevant in the existing ordinance and what wasn't. And we went through and came up with these changes to take out the obsolete stuff and tighten it up and make it better. So, copy of it's in your packet there.
Yeah.
any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Gray,
Yes.
Councilwoman Green,
Yes.
Councilwoman Gray, Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hackett.
Yes.
Okay, now we're on the new business. The next item on the agenda is the decommissioned water intake pump. You said you want to table that, or what? Until we can get the fence and the,
Yes. I make a motion to table it.
okay, you want to table it till next month? Or you want to table it further out?
Give us time to think about it, and we'll do it for next month. If we want to table it again, we can table it again.
Okay, just remember, we got the 60-day mark.
Yeah.
And so, what date does it start from?
From that letter.
Whatever date that letter was from. January 23rd.
Well, you'll have the bids back by,
If we can get someone to give them to us, usually within a day or two. I mean, it's not usually that long. But the problem is finding people to do the bids because all that money's out there. So we're tabled that till March.
Who seconded that, sorry guys?
We haven't.
Second, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next item on the agenda is the purchase of a backhoe for public works. Les was gonna speak on this, he had to go for emergency. Derek, you want to, or Roger, you want to tell him why we need it?
Yeah, we're just needing a backhoe for whenever we need to do street repair, curb repairs, clean the ditch, just public works stuff, because now that we're doing the water line, that Derek will have the equipment that we have doing the water lines. So public works won't have a piece of equipment to work with. So that's the reason we need it.
Scott, do we have a lot of money in the budget for that?
We have $656,000 approved for public works, for doing streets, because we never know when the water and sewer lines are all gonna be done. So it also has on there, if you'll look at it, it says other equipment as well, so we have the money budgeted, it could be spent.
And that price is the state bid, that's the locked-in price. We priced a used one, it was 79,000. That's a new one, looks at 123, I think it is, and it comes with a 2-year warranty.
What's the price we're wanting?
It's- You should have the,
No, I didn't.
123,334.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor's got it.
We got it from Roger.
So back to this lease, Scott. Thanks for the information. So it says the limit may not exceed 25,000, and then it says 40%. So is it 40% of the 25,000 that you can use to lease equipment in any 1 year?
Lease can't exceed the total of $2,500. Andre, you sent me something on the lease today.
Lease, or are we talking about the TCA purchasing limit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it's reading now.
Okay. Yeah, so what the TCA says is that you can authorize purchases of up to $25,000. I guess Carthage hasn't done that, it's authorized up to 10.
We're talking something different.
Okay.
We're talking about leasing like a piece of equipment.
No,
Hey,
we're
well-
talking the same thing, but these are
Yeah.
in a different section.
So,
Well, how does that get?
because the lease is still a purchase.
Okay.
And so if if it's gonna cost more than 25,000 to lease it, then the council needs to approve it, or in our case,
So are we
$10,000.
leasing a backhoe or?
See,
Well,
that's-
he's talking about leasing it instead of buying
Okay.
it for.
And I guess the other
So-
thing, I'm sorry.
So, now the 40% thing is just that, if it's below the purchasing threshold that the council has set, say next meeting, we raise it to 25,000, which is what TCA allows, and what most cities do. If it's below the 25,000, but 40% or more of that 25,000, then you should have 3 quotes, is what the law says. So that would be 10,000 in the, if we raise the limit to 25.
So so the $2,500 max, I guess what I'm getting back to is, this is a municipal purchasing law of 1983.
Uh-huh.
Well, from 1983 to 2025,
It was
obviously
last-
things have went up.
It was amended in 2022, I think, most recently. So that's the title, was when it was first passed.
It was
but it's
amended
been-
when?
I think the last time it was amended was probably in 22.
The
So-
information you're reading from is Municipal Technical Advisory Service,
Yeah.
which, that's maybe a year old. It doesn't reflect the 24 law change. It would have been 22, 23. Bottom line of it is, if you're gonna lease something, they don't want you leasing month to month a piece of equipment for 24 or 2501. They don't want you getting around the purchasing policy. If you're gonna have a capital lease and you intend to keep that piece of equipment, they don't want you leasing it without going through competitive bid. That's a capital lease. It's an operating lease, we use it for one project, we turn it back, fine, we got no problem. We should bid it out. The problem comes when it's what's called a capital lease.
Well, it's just a matter of how much you're spending, whether the purchasing law requires competitive bids or not.
So, but would this be a capital lease? Because Derek.
Capital lease is just a lease of,
It's called called a lease purchase agreement, meaning it's a capital lease, it's intended for accounting terms, governmental accounting standards, and generally accepted accounting principles. The intent is, if it's a capital lease, and you determine that by what is the intent of the buyer and what is the intent at the end of the lease contract. And if the intent is, yeah, we're gonna get it for $1 or whatever it is, it's a capital lease. The ones I've been shown, I don't know if the one you're looking at, Anthony's one, it was a capital lease.
So, but are we buying this, are we suggesting we buy this for Derek, or does Les need it?
This will be for the street. It'll be for the street department.
Public Works
So
is
the entire, several departments need it.
We have a mini excavator, but we only have one piece of equipment in the whole city to dig with. And if that tears up or whatever, we have no backup.
And while he's using that on the water lines, if I have an issue around town, I need to fix a curb, pothole, ditch, storm comes through, I need to push trees out of the road, he's got that piece of equipment tied up. So the only way for me to do my job would be stop him on putting water lines in to go do what I need to do.
And we have used the backhoe when we had it, we've used excavator, skid steer at the wastewater plant. Stephen Wills is an excellent operator, and we have done so much in-house. We replaced every valve in that plant for 2 right now in-house, because we got the equipment and the people.
How much did
do
that
it.
save us?
Oh, gosh. Well, you just take a regular valve, you're probably looking at $10,000 or $15,000 doing it yourself. The valve itself's gonna be $3,000 to $5,000, but doing all the digging and the labor on it. So, yeah, I mean, it's good to have the equipment, because if we need it, we do work in-house. If we don't have it, we can't do it. I would say that.
But it saved quite a bit of money.
Oh, yeah. Yes, definitely.
So we buying it, not leasing?
That's the proposal, is to buy it for the state bid for $120, it comes with a 2-year warranty.
And multi-departments can use it.
Well, the whole, I mean, they interchange equipment anyway.
Right.
But they're not really supposed to, because the water department stuff's supposed to stay over here, because of the separate budgets, and the street stuff's supposed to over here, but we could never function as a city if we did that. You know, they can't say, well, you can't use my, whatever it is, because you're a streets department. But we interchange equipment a lot.
How much did you get for that one that you sold?
It was a 2014,
I think it would.
That's over, it's like 2006 or 7.
2006 or 7, I think we got 35,000, and we took that money off the top of the excavator. Because the backhoe couldn't get in between the houses to dig the lines that we're gonna have to dig, so we needed the excavator, so we traded off. But we didn't know we were gonna get into the water line installation business either.
And it's budget amendment. Is it in the budget or it'll be?
We have.
I'm sorry, Scott.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
That's why I'm here.
That's why we're here, we discussed
I
all
want
this
you to
stuff.
ask, believe me, I want you to ask questions.
I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering.
The way it gets
Yes.
everybody there. So if you look at your financial report. Eventually you might. It'll be the thickest one there. It's
This,
Yep, that's it. Okay, and on your financial report, if you will look on page page 11. And then if you look down under where it says expense category 500, capital outlay expenditures, governmental. Okay, you see the first, that's the account numbers, the grayed out, 110, 4300, 43,100, 93100. We budgeted for the FY 24-25 budget for street paving, drainage, other capital assets. We budgeted $655,000. And we're not gonna get to those streets, because we haven't done the water lines and the sewer lines yet. So of that, we've only spent $30,313.88. So in our budget, we have $624,686.12 left that has already been appropriated in the budget. Okay? So we won't spend that money. And while we're on that page, if you look down the column that says year-to-date activity, as of January 31st, we've taken in more revenue than we have spent, by $4,306.92. And if you add the $16,000 that I posted for January's interest today, we'd be up $20,000 at this point in time. The reason for that is because we're now collecting property taxes. And then for the rest of the year, we'll have the business tax. It'll be about $100,000.
So Scott, if you don't spend this money, and then in June comes, we adopt a new budget, this $624,000 just goes into surplus?
Just
Goes back into.
Goes back into the.
Doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
We just didn't spend it.
Exactly.
We start
So we have-
brand new with the new year.
Gotta rebudget it.
Well, I make a motion, we buy it.
Second it.
I will never recommend doing a capital lease.
Any other discussion? We have a
Yeah,
motion and a
yeah.
second.
So if that line item is for street paving, draining, and other capital assets, I guess the other capital assets could be a backhoe?
Yes, sir.
You got to have tools to work with.
Now, if the council wants us to do a budget amendment and break it out separately, we can do that too. But when it comes down to it, for the general fund, it's done by department. That's the way we have budgeted our budget ordinance. Water sewer fund, all three departments are together, so it's just the water sewer fund.
Well, when we came up with this number of 655 for street paving, drainage, and other so when we get to street paving and drainage, if we've already spent 123,000 of this 655, where's that gonna come from?
The surpluses that we have, this doesn't go anywhere. If we don't spend it, it just stays in the money's in the bank. And we budget again with additional tax revenues coming in.
Scott, tell them about the profit of last year over how much we spent that you told me.
Last year in general fund, we spent quite a bit over.
Yeah, but you said we was up $4,600.
That was what I just told
Or,
you.
yeah, he just told us
This
that.
This
I didn't hear
fiscal year,
that.
yeah.
Taking in more than we spent, the
Yes.
4,300.
But we budgeted for a deficit, meaning we was gonna take monies out of reserves.
For City Hall and.
Yeah. So the budgeting, it's a tool. You get as close as you can based on what information you have, and then if something happens, like what happened to us this year, and we haven't been able to do the water sewer line, so we can't do the street paving, the money just stays out there. But each year, we're cranking, we will never catch up with the street paving. In terms of water sewer lines, we will always, in my professional opinion, always have money for the street paving because water sewer lines are the biggest money, and then the general fund continues to crank with what we're getting.
Plus we get the street aid fund.
Street aid fund, that hits $7,000 to $8,000 a month. So technically, could have had almost $1 million for street paving. And we need to plan for those kind of things, just in case things go good and we're able to do the streets. But the goal is, based on the I&I, replace the sewer lines, replace the drinking water lines, let it settle, and then we put in new streets. So
Why you said that, let's talk about that a minute. Your people are gonna complain when we put these lines, they're gonna say, why are they still chopped up? Why is there gravel there? It has to settle between 90 and 120 days, so we don't pave over top of it and it just sinks right back in. So that's it. They say, why is it still rock? Say it's gonna take a little bit of time to settle. Cause the hole will be the first one we pave, once we get, the asphalt plants open back up, we're gonna pave Hull. Cause it's done. I mean, the water line's done, there's no sewer line on that section, so we can pave it and make it a regular road in the city.
So we're paying for that too, or the city's not doing that? City workers aren't paving?
We don't have the stuff to do a pave the whole road.
Okay, just
We,
patching.
we've got the stuff to do the patches. We were paying anywhere from $6,000 to $7,000 a patch. So we bought the 2 vibrators and stuff, and we've put in what?
Bunch of, I
And
don't
it's,
know.
we've saved thousands of dollars there. I mean, there's no sense in having a company come in and do it if you've got able bodies that can do it.
I will say this, in previous administration offered an opportunity to take these financial statements and explain how to read them and interpret them. Didn't get a lot of response at that special workshop, but I'm more than willing to offer that to you. What might help councilmen to understand the concept is look on page 9. And just in the top fourth, you'll see expense category 500, capital outlay expenditures, governmental, okay? So, let's take the first line item. Those computers and network or hardware and software. Well, we've spent nothing because we haven't needed it, okay? Well, that money is either going to come out of current tax revenues or past tax revenues, of which we have $4.6 million worth. Okay, so look at the police administration building, okay? We budgeted this fully knowing we may or may not spend it. But we were trying to get an idea what would happen from the budgeting standpoint in the worst case scenario if we were able to do everything we wanted to do. Thankfully, I've not ever had to say we can't afford to do that except for in the water sewer fund. And that's, we all know about that. But a budget is just a tool. It's a goalpost. And each year, you know, if the council says, no, we're not doing police administration building, fine, we don't put it in the budget next year and we'll have a surplus budgeted for it, okay? Then you gotta answer the question, okay, what are surpluses for? What's the money in there for? That's not a question I can answer, you just have to answer to your constituents, say, what's the money, why do we take taxes? So, ultimately, that's y'all's decision, decide what's best interest of the town. I don't know if that helped or not.
So, Scott, when you budgeted $655,000 for street paving, drainage, and other capital assets, what were we budgeting for? Were there?
Mostly for paving, but the other equipment is invariably, there will be anything that costs $5,000 or more if it's a capital asset.
Are there any projects that we expected to do this year that the 655 was budgeted for that we, that we're going to be able to do before June?
You know, it's just my approach to seeing that we have a line item that takes care of the 655, though, is pretty much for street paving based on what the current, what we're anticipating getting Smotherman and Carmack done.
If we buy this backhoe for $129,000 or whatever it is, are we gonna have enough money in the budget to do all the street paving and everything we need to do?
We will, because we're not going to do the street paving.
Well, say next year.
Right. We'll rebudget that money again
Right.
next year.
And there'll be enough money to rebudget for that.
Yes.
Right. Because we have $4.5 million in just in the bank, right?
Plus, we'll take in $3.5 million every year.
Right.
Of revenues.
Any further discussion? Do a roll call, please.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Green?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gray?
Yes.
Councilman Ledford?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hackett?
Yes. Alrighty.
Thank y'all. I appreciate it.
Now, the next item on the agenda is pretty much, it's not labeled the right way. We're not discussing the purchase of land. I think Councilman Leftwich had can you speak, a motion or a?
Sure, yeah. I'd like to make a motion that my motion is for the mayor to enter into contract negotiations for the land behind the Chamber of Commerce. That is, keep going, that'll just extend the motion. contract negotiations does not mean we're voting purchase. Yeah, it does not mean we are
It
voting
just
to
allows me
purchase
to go in
this.
and negotiate to a certain price that y'all say.
We can't get a price.
Well, they're not willing to sell it then, evidently.
Yeah.
No.
So when you say contract negotiations, are we gonna need to set a price?
Just
Make-
something that I don't,
We were told
basically you have
to,
to say, okay, Mayor, you can go up to this, but don't go over this.
well, we were told to make an offer. Don't know how else to make an offer without the mayor being able to kind of
Make an offer.
take the lead on that, which if that happened, and if there was a contract agreeable, it would come back to us to we don't know what it would cost. So I'd like for him to find out through negotiations. At that point, we could look at it and then further discuss whether it's too much. Is that something we want to go for or not? To fully go through with a purchase, I mean, we would need 2 public hearings.
It's gotta go to the plan.
There would be quite a bit.
It's not like something we can do overnight.
I'm just wanting to get to the bottom of what is a cost. We just don't know what offer would be accepted. A preliminary or a contract negotiation by the mayor would mean
What is
he's
it?
going to try to figure out what it would cost.
What do they pay, on their taxes, and how much is it appraised on their taxes, that spot, if it's off to itself?
So it's not.
I'm not sure.
Who's the?
It's all it'll have to be subdivided because it's all in one spot.
Okay.
What I did, and got the handout, some comparable comps with the date, acreage, price, a calculation of those comparable comps to equal 3 acres. Even further down, I did what the price of the 3 acreage equation would come out to divided by the total number, which gives us the same set of prices on the left-hand bottom column. Then I did some percentage breakdowns to give us just something to try to see what it would be or what they're looking for. I don't know what they would accept. I just would like to find out through a contract negotiation that we have the right to either accept or deny. And he may not even be successful on a contract negotiation.
I just don't like to bid on somebody's property.
Yeah, what
Well,
in
they
life
tell
do
me
you-
what they're
do you make
thinking.
a- Do you go into Walmart and you need to buy a fan and they say, make an offer on this fan?
I don't think.
It's
That-
foreign to
that
me,
ain't how-
for sure.
That ain't,
I remember Councilman Petty stating that sometimes deals are like this. I'm not a real estate person, so yeah, I'm with you. That's why I'm so lost on this and would like to,
And what if we offer
A lot more.
500, but they would take 300?
That's right.
Well, we're not
Yeah.
we're gonna start dead low. I mean, I know the last one was, this one for 3 acres, I don't wanna put out a figure in,
yeah.
cause then that way, well, they're willing to pay this. That's why I don't wanna discuss figures in the public forum.
be bad business, I would think.
Make offers subject to council approval. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but it's up to, what if, let's say I get in there, I'm just gonna use round numbers, make it easy. Hey Digger, we'll give you $1 for all that property. No, I want $200. Come back, say, yeah, he wants this, what do you think? That's how,
Or you can go ahead and negotiate.
yeah, I mean, I can't, I'm just saying,
contract
but
and
I
get a price
I
and-
don't wanna negotiate until these guys are comfortable with it, cause I don't wanna go through what we went through last time.
Yeah, but if they say a number and give you authority to negotiate up to a number, that's the number that they're gonna go to.
Right,
No,
You
right.
can't really start from
Yeah, you
below.
can't start and go down.
That's what I'm saying, but I'm saying if we're in negotiation, they haven't given us a number,
Yeah.
so we can give them whatever number we wanna give them.
Yeah.
Then he negotiates, I guess,
Yeah, then you go from there.
counter offer and so forth,
Yeah.
and then he could perhaps come back to the council and say, this is what the price is.
But we could also go in there and offer him a lot more than, or them, because.
A
you're
good
talking about
negotiator
them.
would not do that.
Well, you know, it is what it is.
True. So that's my motion.
Instead of spending a lot of time on this woman's property, this family's property, why don't we kinda start getting our heads together on trying to see what we can do down here? I think we're spending a lot of time, not just us, but the other council member that has been here before us has had some issues with buying this land, you know, because there's really nothing to buy around here. Why don't we get our heads together and try to figure out what we can do down here?
We don't, I mean, we can tear it down, we can, remodel it.
Well, then that's things that I guess that we need to discuss and talk about.
I mean, it's
We've
something
been
y'all.
talking about it for a year.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for probably about 3 years.
Okay, well, I'm new here. I'm new in the council now. I think we need to go from here on instead, you know, because I think I've sit in some meetings where I've listened and listened and listened to it.
Right.
And I think it's time for us to quit fooling with this family's land, because this is our only, seems like this is the only land that's coming around is this family's land. Get off of it. Let's put our heads together and decide what we can do down here.
We were looking at different stuff too. We'll look at any property they've got out there.
But there's nothing out here.
Well, Mr. Kemp's got some, but we're not sure how that's gonna come out. And why would we not want to negotiate the price of the property when it's cheaper than it's gonna be to rebuild and remodel here?
Well, I don't know what it's gonna cost to rebuild.
We've
here.
got all those figures. They were handed out in the last, not to y'all probably didn't get them.
No, that's what I'm
But
saying.
we've got those figures for you. That we had someone come in and give estimates on. To tear this down and remodel, rebuild it, fit $5.4 million. That's not counting us going into temporary housing and temporary situation for thing. Remodel this building, I think, what did they say, 2.6, Scott? Was that what it was, 2.6?
I'm not sure, Mayor, it's all verbal, we haven't got a written.
Well, I see, was it, yeah, we did. We had it in writing for the council.
We have with Evan,
Yeah, that's what Evan put
the
together.
architect.
Yeah.
together.
Keep talking about the property on Upper Ferry that we own part of and the other, is that enough
Whole big thing.
room to do what we wanna do?
Yeah.
That-
Or at the lighthouse
Well, I was wondering that too.
and,
Well, it's,
Well, I can
Rojas
tell you how much he
property.
wants for that land.
It's a floodway.
Well, the whole, everything's flooded. You can build over there. That's why all those places are built. It's not, the problem is people have a misconception that you can't build over there. You can't. That's how Bank of Tennessee, that's how the state of Tennessee, that's how Taco Bell.
I
That's
know.
how-
have 3 point
It
something
doesn't cost any
currently
more money to
budgeted.
build there. It just have to go through different permitting processes.
I know, I get that.
I've been,
Yeah, but you have to consider flood insurance and.
If you build it outside the floodplain, which our engineer was going to do with the other building, you don't have to have flood insurance. You have to raise it up and get it
But
above
we
the,
still would
certain-
have to go through the people coming out looking at it and saying, yes, no, you can do here, or you can't.
right, yes, there's a lot
but
of
I mean,
things that,
I would take our engineer that's been doing it for 20 years saying, yes, I can build that there. He's working on getting us some bathrooms down there at the dog park, which is in a floodplain.
I believe in the contract, our concerns would be contingent on basic.
Availability to build, I
thing-
mean.
Things up, but yeah. I have been following this for a while. It seems like the public is generally concerned about the flood zone. They've been concerned about the visibility. So, you know, I don't know what other options. I just want to,
Well,
I'm just asking to explore this option.
I
Is,
will say that the people that I have come up to me is like, no, nothing on Upper Ferry. I mean, that's just.
do they have
Yeah,
an idea where we could
That's a
build?
general consensus
That is.
that I'm getting.
I get the same
This is
thing.
like more of the bypass in my mind. I kind of feel like this is more of the bypass. It would be up on the hill of the bypass, but I mean, technically, I guess Upper Ferry address. Just seems like a good location to me. I'm just, you know, wanted to figure out what it
Have they told
costs.
you why they don't want it on Upper Ferry Road?
Because of the flood. That's it. I mean,
Same.
it's simple
That's
as
their
it
evidence.
sounds.
So we were
That's-
talking
And
about,
as
trivial, were we all down
I'm
there
talking
by the
about
lighthouse?
anything
Yeah,
on
in
Upper
front,
Ferry
the
Road
land's
that
in
comes
front of,
around
where the
says
flower
they
place and the
say
trees were.
They do.
Yeah, but
Had the
don't-
storage
don't
building
we
there.
own this?
Talking about
Not where
those
Rojas
That's not in the
is?
flood.
Yeah, it's
No.
not, it's not flood
That's
zone.
the
It's
land
That's
swap.
behind the chamber.
Yeah,
It's
not-
up on the hill.
That's not in
If
the
you look at the
floodplain.
water department
This is-
directly, if we're facing the chamber, water department's are on the
That's the
left,
boat
directly
ramp,
to the
yeah.
right. Big
And we're
hill.
Yeah,
still,
that's
We
our-
own that. Why can't we do it that?
Oh, no, that's in that ditch down there.
There's a
That is in the water. That is in the
We
water.
can't, we can't do nothing with
I
that. That's
don't,
their,
I never looked at it as who owns the property.
That's no good to us.
You have a problem with the owner? Okay, well, that's,
I don't have a problem with the owner.
Couldn't do
Okay.
it.
No, that's just what the constituents are
the
saying.
constituency.
I don't know who the owner is, but I have a problem with how they want to negotiate with us making
Yeah.
an offer. That's not good negotiations, in my opinion.
I understand. I just want to see what the price could be, but
Can we go in the executive thing where we can talk without the camera? Can do it, okay.
not unless someone's trying to sue us or some legal matter. This is
Oh.
not- I already asked that question. I was just gonna write down a number and you have to write it down and pass it around, but we
Yeah,
can't do that.
can't do that either, okay.
so we had discussion without a second.
Yeah, we don't have a
So-
second on your motion. Is anyone planning on filing? Giving a second to that motion?
For purposes of discussion.
Yeah, I'd do it for that discussion.
Okay, now we're open to discussion phase.
But I'm not.
Is there
And
any
for the
land to
record,
build
I have
on
nothing against the
besides
people that own it,
this?
the Penlands are good people.
I don't know
So
what,
the options are buy raw land and build on it, or tear this building down.
Basically, that's about what it amounts to.
Or you're in a floodplain.
looking for options. What was our options? We've been talking about this location. We've talked about previous councils, talked about another location that didn't go. That was the Upper Ferry with the flooding concerns of the constituents. We've talked about the Moss Building briefly during our workshop. Expensive, we said, we think the remodel, you know, we felt that was bad. Then we talked about some other land on the bypass. We didn't really get any further with that. I think that maybe wasn't for sale. Options. That's what I did. That's what I'm thinking on. And our problem with this option is we don't know what it would cost us.
I think if they want to sell it bad enough, they'll give us that's my opinion.
I agree, and it's been a process to try to come up with what in the world, how to price it. So the only thing I can come up with as just a council person at this point is to see if the mayor can. I don't think it's my role as a council member to fish around or make arbitrary offers to find out what the land is. That's as far as I can get.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes,
I don't understand what it would hurt to allow him just to see. I mean, I understand what you guys are saying as far as why aren't they meeting us somewhere saying this is, but what does it hurt to see? It still has to come back to y'all. You still have to approve a contract. It would still have to go to planning. There's so many steps that it would have to go through. It's not like you guys wouldn't still be involved. You could say yes or no. No, that's too much. No, I don't think that's a fair price. We're really not interested. I mean,
Yeah, I myself might
I don't
reject a
understand
contract. I
why we
don't know.
wouldn't just explore an option.
I don't have a problem with him negotiating to find out what the price is,
Sure.
but I do have a problem with us agreeing to a price.
that
I
they
mean,
might.
if
they
you wanna
will.
make your motion, let's let Mayor Babcock negotiate to find out a price, I'm fine.
Yeah, find out.
Close
Keyword,
to it.
find out.
I mean, I don't know what the secret is by this.
I don't either.
I mean, what is the
I
big
don't
secret?
Gotta be gold.
I've never heard of it.
May I make a suggestion?
Sure. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
First question is, does the council want to buy any land?
Right.
If you don't want to buy any land, then that takes care of that matter. The second thing is, I have one employee that is out with walking pneumonia now for 3 days. I have a brand new employee who now has sneezing issues. We have a recorder who has breathing issues. We have our county our clerk who has problems sneezing, coughing, spewing. Thankfully, I haven't experienced that, but I do sneeze when I first come in the building. That could be the marijuana that's in the
You don't get to use it.
Okay.
That's mine.
But the thing is, somewhere somebody has to make a difficult decision, say, yes, we're gonna do something, or we're not. If we're not, then we owe it to the police department and say, okay, is there a small piece of land we can get the police department, police place, because they really need the space most of all, and then we can redo a bay back here, and we can redo the HVAC whole system, take everything out, clear out all the chemicals that are all the way back in the back, and everywhere that's back there, we can make this work. We already know that we don't have enough space to build a building here. If we did that, it would cost us an additional $500,000 in interim to rent trailers and all that, and find a place for them to rent. Because if you try to build on here, you can't put them right there, out the parking lot. So to me, and you folks understand, I'm not gonna benefit from this, but I do know folks are sick. What I would love to see is, hey, if we're not gonna build, let's just say that, okay? And then let's fix what we've got. And if we can only do something for the police department, it needs the space desperately for all kinds of reasons, including the evidence room, because I don't like marijuana smell and have to smell it every day. Okay, particularly, we all know when we go on a fresh patrol, we go back a hall. So, reality is, somewhere, we have to make a decision to say if we want to do this or if we don't. If we don't, just say you don't. But somewhere we have to, if we're going to do something, we need to do something.
We gotta move forward.
I agree.
I think if the hazardous materials inspection report that we got a copy of, I mean, it's, even if we started on something tomorrow, it's, the employees are still subject to the presence of mold growth, which is, I understand you can just see it visibly with your eyes. So, I mean, I just feel like we're so far behind the ball on options, much less exploring a good option.
Well, we're behind the ball on it being in the city because nothing's been done. Nothing.
It's been, yeah, we've been behind for years.
Yeah, we're playing catch up.
Scott, could we talk a little bit about funding for this? So we have 3.2, was it?
Budgeted 3.5, but my recommendation we would spend 3.5 cash. Be wise for us to spend $1 million, $1.5 million, and then finance the rest of it over 30 years, because let multiple generations of taxpayers pay for it, and it'll be here for another 40 years. But, you know, and I understand, folks, these are hard decisions, but the reality of it is, if this town was broke, we wouldn't have any options, but the town isn't broke. Okay? I don't know what the future holds, but I don't see the town going broke. As long as sales tax is there, as long as Tennessee's in place, they'll have sales tax. And if they don't, we don't worry about nothing. We'll all be shooting deer for food. But, well, I think, personally, I don't know anything about the folks that own this property. But what I do know, it's not in floodplain. What I do know is that it would work, okay? But personally, I would say, okay, if we're concerned about whether it'd work, fine. Have a civil engineer that does that kind of work, go out there and make sure, yeah, you would have to do this much work to do it. Any piece of ground you get, you're gonna have to do some construction work to prepare it for building. But if the whole thing is too much, break it down piecemeal. Police department needs it most, but we need something done with the facility here. It can be done. We just won't have a drive-through for some of the things we wanted to do for the citizens. Somewhere there has to be a decision. You keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and the next council will be faced with it.
My observation from sitting here and watching everybody go round and round on the same discussion for more than a year is I think everybody would love to build that building. I think everybody's in favor of building that building for the police department and the city. The center of the controversy, from what I've observed, is where that building is gonna get built. Are we gonna buy raw land and build it on that raw land, or are we gonna tear this building down and build it here? And I think that, before we start talking about contract negotiations and finding a price, and are we even gonna buy land to build it on? And I think that might get us a lot farther forward if the council decides where it's gonna be.
And that's where some of the information comes. With this plan, it's 3 acres, okay?
And our understanding was buying raw land and building it on was the cheaper
It was
option.
the cheapest option. yes.
Right.
And because we have hazardous materials that we have to mitigate.
Right, and they have to rent trailers or relocate.
Temporary offices.
Yeah, temporary, so. But some people feel that it should be here and like its location, so I think maybe the council should decide that, and going from there, then we can pick a path.
Can you read my motion? I may want to change it.
You motioned for mayor to be able to enter into contract negotiations for, I put Pinland property, but you didn't say Pinland, behind the Chamber of Commerce, and Councilman Gray seconded.
If maybe I want to rescind that motion and make a different motion to negotiate to find out a price, is that,
And then bring back to council to approve,
bring back?
Making that?
Yes, I would like to make the motion for the mayor to be able to negotiate to find out a price.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on that? All in favor? Okay, so that motion passes. So that's what we'll do. I'll go try and get a price for it, bring it back to you next month and say, this is what we got.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I can get them locked into a price. I'm not gonna go, try not to go any more than what the other property was over there.
Because how much is an acre of land going for?
Well, up there, it's.
Location.
It's
Kind
quite
of
expensive.
depends on
Location.
where.
Well, ain't that the truth? I mean,
It's not like it used to be.
but goodness,
I-
they make you don't wanna buy it.
Yeah, I know.
They don't wanna sell it with these prices.
Well, they just know that if we don't buy it, they hold on to it, somebody will buy it for those prices.
Well, probably a big organization or a big business. That's good.
Okay,
Accepted on
I'm gonna
rate.
take the mowing contract off the agenda, and, cause we have to bid it out and all that stuff. And I'm just gonna go to a 3-month contract where it's only $8,700, that way y'all ain't gonna even mess with it. So we'll go to a 3-month contract, and that way, the attorney said that'd be the best way, that way y'all ain't gotta do it every year, keep voting on it and bidding it out and doing all that stuff. So I'm removing that from the agenda. The last
I
item.
make a motion to remove it.
Second.
Oh, you don't.
Yeah, you don't have to motion.
Okay.
There's just one more item on the agenda.
Oh.
So you can make that motion.
What is it? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in
Third.
favor?
Aye.
Meeting is over.
There we go.
That was a good meeting, guys.